What's up, gamers? I have the ULX Sakura here. So this is a mouse I've been curious about for a while, since the ULX first came out, but I didn't buy it because I got the, what's it called, the BeastX Mini. And well, I can't wait to see, because they basically are the same shape and it's like a ULX clone, I suppose, or at least it was. The BeastX Mini is very much high quality on its own, but this was the original mouse that kind of inspired it. And I have the ULX Sakura here. I bought it mostly because content, but also because I am curious, and as well as, honestly, if I don't like it, I think I can end up selling it, so that'll be okay. But otherwise, I probably shouldn't have bought it. But you know, that's my reason. That's my coping. And yeah, so that's gonna be my reason. And let's get this open. So how do I get this open? This is just, can I just cut? You know what? Let me just cut this open. Hold on. Clean. Hello. Okay. All right, here we go. There it is. The color, as you can see, is quite a dark shade of pink compared to, especially the BeastX Mini, with this being like a pastel pink and blue. Let's get it out. Wow. Ooh, coating. Coating is much better than the BeastX Minis. That's interesting. Okay. This is my first FinalMouse, by the way. Surprisingly enough, as a reviewer, this is my first FinalMouse of all time. And so, yeah, I've heard so many things about FinalMouse in general being just, you know, I've heard all the controversies. I've heard everything about it. And yeah. So here's the dongle. If I could get this one out. Come on. Please. Okay, there's the dongle. Here's the cable it comes with. The cable is surprisingly basic. In fact, it is extremely basic. I expected a little bit more, especially coming from something like FinalMouse. It does at least feel durable. Like, it doesn't feel like a terrible cable, but it's surprisingly basic. This feels like something I would get with like a phone or something. I don't know, just really basic. Of course, you don't really get much but the mouse, as well as the instruction guide, as well as the dongle. So not much to say about there. So yeah, let's get my first impressions on the feel, shape, and you know, stuff like that. So here's how the mouse looks if you guys want to take a look at it really quickly. It is a much deeper pink than this one. It's still a very Sakura pink, I believe. Maybe a little bit on the darker end, but other than that, this is how it looks like. Here's the mouse on and off button. It's very different from the BeastX Mini's kind of design in terms of, like, I mean, you can see that, as well as the skates, as well as everything like that. One thing I realized is the skates designs, you know, I'm okay with that actually. Especially if you're a dot user, I think that'd be totally fine. Huh, okay. So first impressions, the coating feels much better than the BeastX Minis. Does it feel taller, or is it just me? Is the ULX, but this is a small size, so these should be the exact same shape theoretically, like basically not different or any different. But first impressions, it does feel like it's taller for some reason. I don't know if it is. I don't think it is, and if it is, it's by very little. But it felt tall. Okay, no, it's about the same size, give or take, but it felt tall, like bigger at first. Let's see. Let's give everything else a try. So let's see the clicks. I don't know what clicks these are actually. Let me guess. Mono blue shell pink dots are very likely, is probably the most likely here. They are quite nice. I maybe prefer the Omrons more because they're a little bit lighter, but these are a very light implementation, so I'm not sad about it. And I don't even know if these are Mono blue shell pink dots. That's just my guess. And one thing I noticed is these things, with this engraving right here, I always had that worried when I first saw the ULX series. I was worried that these would have texture on them, and they'd be noticeable. But to be honest, I'm already like used to it. It's barely there. It's there, like you can feel it, but it's so. As somebody who's used the Meow that's had the engraving, let me see, I have it right here, I believe. The Meow that has this engraving on it, it's a lot more noticeable, and this is basically like not there almost. So that's good to know that I don't feel it, or it really doesn't bother me already. Anyways, let's take a look. The side buttons are actually going to be more protruding out than the B6 Mini, so that's something to keep note of, because at least for me, when I hold my mouse, that kind of is important. But the side buttons are going to be higher up, actually. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's a little bit higher up. The B6 Minis curve in a little bit lower, like it goes like a little bit like this, while the ULX goes like a little bit higher and it's like more flat. So that's actually something to consider. They're definitely protruding out a lot more. I didn't think these would be this different. I don't know why I didn't think they'd be this different, but they definitely have a different feel to them. The shape is very similar, but it's still very much a different mouse. Let's get a look at the encoder. Yeah, just getting a look at the encoder. The middle click is very satisfying. It's actually a very distinctive click compared to the B6 Mini that's just like silent kind of. It's actually clicking. I'm not a huge fan of the texture because it's actually more slippery than the B6 Minis, but it does at least look different. Also, do you see that? It looks like it's very noticeably, I don't know if you guys can tell, but it kind of noticeably like has like a, I don't know how to explain it. I can see like a breakpoint right here. I'm not sure if it's that visible, but I can kind of see that throughout, and I don't really like it. It's not a huge deal, but it kind of bothers me a little bit. Like I can see breakpoints in terms of the texturing. In terms of the, like I said, the feel, it's fine. It's not particularly grippy, but it's not bad. It's not as bad as the B6 Minis, especially because it's I think it would be as bad as the B6 Minis, but it's actually a lot lighter. The tensioning is a lot lighter than the B6 Minis. I think I like the rubber wheel for sure of the B6 Minis, but in terms of like the light drag instead, I don't know actually. There's an ant right there. I've been having ants on my desk, and it's just been annoying because like I don't have any food at my desk, and it's just, ugh, God. So they're just around. That's just been bothering me. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, that's not really the point of this. So let's keep on moving. Let me get some more light, a little bit more light here. So yeah, it's a little slippery. It's not so bad, but it's definitely, it's not great. It reminds me of the old B6 Mini wheel. It's not enough to really bother me, but it's definitely on the less great side. It's definitely, at the very least, it's lighter tensioning, so the problem is much less, you know what I mean? But it is a little bit loose, especially if you have like very slippery hands like me. Like I'm not even moving it right now with this, but it's not that bad either. Okay. In terms of shape, feel, or like first impression, just off like first feel. Like I'm trying to compare the two just on like feeling, you know what I mean? Something like that. Oh, interesting. Okay, so the side button is very much right. It's actually definitely, look, my thumb already immediately touches it. I can feel it. I can press it. But with the ULX, I can actually, it's not there yet. So that actually might be a factor in me like liking this or not, because like that kind of matters shape for me in terms of having the side button in the way. So there's actually a lot more space between there, and that's something I actually do enjoy. Well, we'll have to see if I prefer it in the long term, but I feel like I do. But the buttons are protruding out more, a little bit more, so that's something to keep note of. Also, something I've noticed is like, I remember seeing someone flex this inwards, and I'll be honest, it does feel like I can. I'm worried about it. I don't want to do it, but oh yeah, you can definitely, even with just a little bit of flexing, I'd be worried about that personally. It's not like I will do it, so it's not a big deal, but I'm worried about how that integrity thing, like I'm a little worried about just pushing down on it and then like it's snapping. I don't know. Yeah, it's supposed to be carbon fiber, but I believe it's carbon fiber. I could be wrong. I totally forgot. But I'd be a little bit worried. Oh, also it says competition. So this is the competition series. So this is basically a ULX competition just with a different colorway. So that's something to keep note of. So that's nice. Yeah, wow, look at that. Okay. So first impressions, the coding I do like more. The side buttons being a little bit higher, I might like more. I don't know for sure. The scroll wheel, I do prefer the B6 Minis because, at the very least, because of the grip. In terms of actuation, though, you know, the what's the word? The tensioning. It is lighter though. And do I prefer that or do I not? I think I prefer the B6 Minis a little bit more. Because it's not heavy, but it's heavy enough where it's like you don't over scroll. Like if that makes sense. Like I can tell when I'm trying to switch weapons in like a game like Hunt Showdown, where scroll wheel is actually kind of necessary. I can tell that I might scroll over a little bit too far. Well, with the B6 Mini, I know I can just like, it'll just stop like here. You know what I mean? I don't know. And that might be because of the grip. I don't think so, but at the very least, yeah. I think I prefer the B6 Minis. In terms of clicks, These are different switches entirely, so I mean that's going to be very subjective, because these are Omron opticals, and I believe these feel like blue shells, but I don't know. They're probably mechanical from what I can tell. The blue shell pink dots, or the mechanical switches, definitely feel more satisfying as as typical mechanical switches are. But I don't know. I think in terms of personal preference, I don't think I cared that much. I think I prefer the lighter clicks, so the B6 minis, but in general, I don't think I care that much. I might prefer the feel of these slightly more than mechanical switches, but I do prefer the lighter clicks of these. It's not that big of a difference though. Like I said, the tensioning is also very light on these mechanical switches. Just not as light as the Omrons, I think. I could be wrong though. Let me see if I can see a difference. Yeah, definitely. It's definitely lighter, as you can see. Like I have to actually put force in it, while this one is just kind of, I have to put force in that. That's definitely lighter. Definitely lighter than the B6 minis. But yeah, the coating on the other hand is definitely noticeable. Big difference here. But also my hands are getting a little bit sweatier, like feeling different, so it's hard to say again. But the B6 minis coating honestly is not very great. It might wear in with time, but at the very least right now, it's actually kind of slippery. It's like the Meows, so very similar to that. So that's something I didn't like. And it doesn't feel particularly that much better on the ULX either, though. It feels more rubbery, so probably better, but it doesn't feel that much. I don't know. Like I need to test it when my hands are not feeling like grip, because sometimes it's more grippy than others, sometimes than other times. So sometimes it's fine, but then sometimes it's less, and I would like to know how that would hold up. But at the very least, it feels, if I had to say, just from judging now, it's slightly better, but not very much. Like it's not. I don't know. Like I said, my hands right now are actually doing okay in terms of grip, but if it wasn't, I have a suspicion, a feeling that the ULX would be a little bit better, but not by that much either. Like not enough to make a decision to be like, oh, get this mouse, get over that, you know what I mean? But it does feel, I don't know, man. It's kind of slippery too, but it has a rubbery feeling. Well, this one I know just has like it's kind of, I don't know how to explain it, really. Okay. In terms of the weight difference, I'm pretty sure these are practically the same weight. Let me see if I can tell. Actually, I mean they're the same weight, but I want to know if it feels any different in hand, if that makes sense. Also, the weight balancing is something to keep note of as well. It actually does feel slightly different. I think the ULX feels more balanced in the middle, while the B6 Mini actually feels heavier in the back. I'm not entirely sure. That could just be, I'm not really an expert at feeling weight balancing. Like I don't really do this that often, but maybe it's more it feels slightly more balanced in here. Yeah. Okay. But in general, from what I'm getting in between these two is, I'll be honest, the B6 Mini is looking like a very compelling value right now. Because to me, to be honest, the differences in these are so kind of minor, honestly. And the B6 Mini seems, and at around $30 cheaper. I think it depends on the model, of course, but the B6 Mini is cheaper. This is the Pro as well, by the way. In terms of value, I'm definitely leaning towards the B6 Mini, but we'll have to see, because there's other things that FinalMouse does as well, and they boast things. I'm a little skeptical about their marketing though, because on their website they're like, this is the lightest mouse period, and that's just simply not true. That's just not true at all by any means. I don't know, man. And so when I saw that marketing claim, it made me really skeptical about their other ones, because the other claims are kind of basic. They're like, oh, we have really good click latency and whatnot. And as much as it's like, okay, sure, but like when you lie already about the first thing, that's like, oh, we are the lightest weight mouse in the world, and it's like, no, you're not. You're really not. Like, you're not. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. This is very light, and this is extremely competitive, top 5% of like a lightweight mouse. Don't get me wrong, but to claim you're the lightest weight mouse in the world, it's just plain wrong, and I don't know where they get that. Besides pure marketing, so that kind of bothers me. But apparently everything else they do, supposedly good, but like I said, I take it with a grain of salt, especially after they lied to me already about the first thing, which is the weight of the mouse. So yeah, to me as well. Oh, also one thing, with this kind of like, you can feel like bending inwards. You just can't do that with the B6 Mini. You just can't do that. Like, it's not even possible. It feels a lot sturdier. I definitely trust the construction, at the very least, of this part of my B6 Mini a lot more, because this one bends in. Everything else I can't say for certain, but like let's see, sidewall. I don't know. They're about the same. Maybe I feel like I trust my B6 Mini more, but maybe that's because I've had it longer and so I've trusted it more. But at the very least, you can tell this one definitely has some bend to it right back here. I'm worried about, like, you can easily see it. I'm not even trying that hard. Thankfully, most people won't do anything with that. But you know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, that's just a little, yeah. But in terms of feel in hand, if you did palm grip and you got a bigger size, I do think this is much more noticeable. So I guess if that's about, if you were trying to do palm grip or, like, you know, have like a claw or something, then it is less noticeable, because this is more like flattish, while this one actually kind of, you know, I don't know, just something to keep note of. But other than that, I don't have much to say. So yeah, current thoughts. Also, the same thing with the bottom of the mouse. It does feel a little, yeah, it definitely is like, yeah, I can even hear, I can feel it creak a little bit. You can kind of like see, like, look at that. I'm a little disappointed, but I'm not surprised either, because I've heard about FinalMouse and a lot of the issues that surrounds them. This does seem like a decent mouse, and sorry, I feel like I'm hearing something outside. I don't know. I think, okay, okay, we're good. But to be honest, my first impressions, if I knew nothing about FinalMouse, and this is my first one, and I had no context, I'd feel like the Beast Mini is the clear winner here, and the ULX is like an off-brand one. And that's kind of sad, really, because FinalMouse is supposed to be, you know, the high tier brand, but to be honest, it's not lighter. It's the same weight. It feels cheaper, especially with this part right here. The magnesium alloy, I don't know, this feels like plastic. I know it's probably a composite and it's like maybe a coating, so that's fine, but at least feel wise, I don't know, it feels like cheaper. But like I said, that doesn't mean everything. Feel doesn't mean everything, so that's just completely subjective. I'm not saying anything about that, but at the very least, the construction quality, you can very much see, I don't know, like, it just feels more sturdy. Like, already the fact that you can see this move at all, like that, look, you can see I'm very much not pressing that hard, and it might be hard to see, but it is definitely moving. Like, it's just like right there. I don't know if you can see it. It's just so, like, it's just surprisingly feels cheap and weak for what this is. You know, especially when the B6 Mini exists. If this didn't exist, then sure, it's like, oh, you know, it's a very lightweight mouse. That's how they do it. That's why it's so, you know, weak. But the B6 Mini does it like 10 times better. Like, it just feels better. I don't know about the firmware side. They do boast about how that's very important, and that very well can be true. So I don't know anything about it. So I don't know about click latency, all that. But at the very least, in terms of construction size, construction as well as overall feel, I'm getting a much better impression off the B6 Mini. Not by so much, but by enough where it's like this feels like the higher quality brand in my opinion, which is kind of saying something. And that's just kind of sad, really. But then, like, again, that feel isn't necessarily actually quality, but that's just kind of my impressions. And so, yeah, I'll have to give this a go. I mean, the shape, like I said, I still might prefer it because having this extra space right here might be actually a preference I might like. But in terms of just pure quality standpoint, I definitely feel more biased towards the B6 Mini at the current moment. But because, like, I don't know, it's unsettling how low quality this looks or feels, I guess. Even the B6 Minis at least has like its own thing. I don't know. This might just be a complete bias. Like I said, I'll have to give it a go. But yeah, at the very least, this is still a decent mouse. I'm not saying like, oh, this is terrible. I'm just saying if we want to compare it to the B6 Mini, as well as like, you know, as well as their brand name suggests, or what, you know, just like their brand name is supposed to be like hyped up and whatnot. It's just a little like, oh, I see. This is a little, you know what I mean? Like, a little underwhelming, maybe because given the expectations though. If I had no expectations and I tried this for the first time though, not knowing who they were and at all, it'd be like, okay, sure, it's still kind of pricey though, but like, you know, I don't know, but you're definitely paying for some brand name here, in terms of, yeah. So it's hard for me to, like I said, I'll need to give this more of a go, but first impression, it's hard for me to give this kind of a, like, a recommendation, especially because it costs more. If they were the exact same price, even then I might have to lead towards the V6 Mini. Like I said, I have to give this a go. Also, I don't know what's behind the firmware side, as well as, you know, like I said, click latency implementation, that matters a lot, or at least matters somewhat, but I'm not an expert in that. So I can't judge you on that, and I'm purely basing it off of construction quality in terms of feel and everything like that. So like I said, let's not discount the fact though that, you know, maybe they have really good firmware, really good, you know, I genuinely just don't know. So that really matters though. So yeah, that's the first impressions, but I think I might give it a go in terms of like, I want to know how I feel about it shape wise. It's still a decent mouse, like I said, at the very least, it still feels good. It's not a bad mouse, just kind of disappointed giving the name FinalMouse being so hyped up, as well as its price point being very, very high a lot. It doesn't even, I don't know, in terms of looks, it's not particularly impressive. It's not bad. It looks cool. It looks fine, but it's not impressive either. I think like they basically just copied the ULX and just changed the colors a little bit. They didn't bother adding, I don't know, they could have done some more creative things. And this is just like, I don't know, it's fine. You know what I mean? It's fine. But yeah, let's give it a go. First of all, like, I don't know, let's look at the firmware. Let's look at everything else. Who knows? Let's not completely discount it, if that makes any sense. I lost the dongle. There it is. So yeah. There it is. I'm gonna have to look at their, what's it called as well. Okay, it's on. I'm connected. I'm gonna let me do display capture right now so I can share my screen. Okay, now let's look at some Chrome. And let's look at FinalMouse, like their software, their support, their X panel. That's what it's called. There it is. I like how the first result was like, why is FinalMouse so loved hated? All right, let's get this connected. 50% battery, DPI 1200, whatever. All right, I changed mine to 1200. Okay, personally I would have had it rather had it like also being able to type it, but that's very minor nitpick. Polling rate, I do stick to 1K. 8K is just not necessary for me. I never found the point of it. I have a whole, maybe I'll make a video on that, but basically, it's kind of a gimmick in my opinion. LOD, surprisingly enough, it actually the V6 Mini goes lower. It goes to 0.7, while the ULX only goes to 1. So that's actually a little thing. That's another thing in its favor. Motion sync, I'll turn that off, but I don't really know exactly what it does. I'm not very know. Tournament scroll, I forgot what this does. Tournament scroll filter is the first step of your scroll to avoid unintended transition. Oh, I think it's basically to stop the to stop like ghost ones. But in my opinion, if you just have decent steps, it's hard to, like, on the V6 Mini, it's actually hard to purposely do it, right? Like I got it like in the middle. But with the ULX, the way its implementation is, it's a lot easier to purposely do it. Like I did it right now. It's really not that hard. So in my opinion, if you just had a better implementation, the problem would very much not be there. But I don't know, having this there probably good. I don't know, I'll have to look a bit more on this, but that's first impressions. Battery indication level, yep, you can have as you want, solid white. Cool. Firmware, I'll probably have to update my firmware. For now, I'm gonna keep it the way it is, but something to keep note of, I suppose. And I think that's it. You can download it. Okay. Wow. Yeah, that's somewhat basic. It does the job, right? It does the job, but surprisingly basic for what you would think, maybe? I don't really know. One thing that's unique about it is this, though, is the wireless signal strength, so that's kind of cool. Yeah. So kind of basic, but it does most of the job. Oh, wait, I just realized, can I change my keybinds for the... No way, right? There's no way that it wouldn't. What? Do I have to download it? There's no way there's no, like, rebind for this, right? I don't see it anywhere though. I don't think I'd have to download it either. I'll do it like to see, but where is there no rebind for like? Is there no rebind for like these buttons? Because I rebind this as M, but can I not do that here? That's like really sad actually if I can't. There's no way that's not a possibility, right? Huh? Okay. that download will take 25 minutes. I don't know why. My internet's not that bad. I'm not really sure why. Whatever. Okay. I'm gonna hope that there's another. Maybe that. I don't know. That's just terrible. Honestly, if I can't do that, like such basic mice can do that. Okay. I don't know. Maybe you can. Maybe you have to get the software. I don't know. For now, I'm just gonna move on. That's really sad though. If you can only keep it as these buttons, because that's such a basic functionality that it's like any mouse has it. So if FinalMouse doesn't have it, that's like absolutely disappointing, and I just don't get it. So the impression I'm getting right now is the FinalMouse is like the Apple of the world, where they have that name brand, and they have, I don't know, I'm getting a lot of Apple vibes right now, where like they don't have certain things. Like I remember, like if you know phones or anything or like that, Apple barely just put 120 hertz what's it called, display on their their screens, and like it took them forever. And it's basically taken, like Apple has not caught up in terms of the a lot of the basic functionality that things like Android has. So that's the impression I'm getting right now, is the FinalMouse is the Apple of the mice world. But we'll see. And impression isn't necessarily true. That's just, So yeah. Alright, this is a little bit awkward for me, but I am just trying to get my impression here in terms of the feel of it. Because I actually still might prefer the shape. Like I said, the side button thing actually does kind of matter. I'm hearing scraping. Oh, hear that? Why is that happening so easily? I'm scraping the side of the mouse like this. I'm using. Okay, I think it happens with the B6 Mini too. Maybe just not as obvious. I don't know. Okay. Oh, like I'm just doing this and I can whatever. All right, let's see. Yeah, definitely tried and true shape. Still good shape for sure, that's for sure. Okay. Okay, one thing I think I do like is the side buttons. Like I said, it's actually not in the way at all, and I think I do prefer that actually. So that would kind of suck if I prefer FinalMouse in just that one aspect. Everything else sucks. Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully either I do prefer my V6 Mini, this thing, or hopefully FinalMouse is better than I give it credit than what it's looking to be. Because I would, yeah. Because this one side button thing is actually kind of it's noticeable, because like I do feel the side button at all times on the B6 Mini, and I've just kind of used to it. But going to the ULX, having that freedom, having that my thumb not be immediately in the way of that is noticeable, and just feels better, feels right to me. Okay. All right. Like I said, like I usually say, I do have to give this some time with the mouse to get my true impressions. But overall, my first impressions are very disappointing, honestly. Especially for the price point of the mouse, right? If this were a $120 mouse, I'd be happy with it. With the B6 Mini being $145, with this being $120, I'd be very much happy with this. But like I said, this is also speaking about not without knowing any of the firmware side, so I do want to give FinalMouse that benefit of the doubt. But I'm judging based off what I do know, or what I can tell, and so far, it's not looking particularly good. It's not like it's a terrible mouse. It's just that for the money, what you're paying with, I don't. If if it's what it seems to be and nothing changes, or like nothing, you know, like in terms of like the firmware, like I'm talking about, changes, then it's looking to be that the BeastX Mini is just a better value in almost every way. But like I said, I don't know for sure yet, the firmware and if you know, stuff like that. I could be wrong. I don't know. That's what I have to say. But like I've been saying, the ULX is not a bad mouse. In fact, it's still like 95% of the BeastX Mini. You know what I mean? It's not bad. It's just that given the expectations of the brand name as well as the price being higher by like $30, I was hoping that it would actually be a challenge. And at the same price, I think I'd still pick the BeastX Mini from what I know from so far. And to me, this feels like a $120 mouse from a different company. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't even say bootleg, just a different company. Like, it's still a good mouse, but like it feels like more of a $120 mouse as a competitor, and not the other way around, where the BeastX Mini is the competitor, because that is what it is. This is supposed to be a clone shape of the FinalMouse shade. But so far, I'm kind of getting the impression that this feels like a competitor to this, and this is like the cheaper bootleg product. Not bootleg, but you know what I mean, clone. But it's surprisingly the other way around. But like I said, though, like I keep on saying the entire time, I don't know everything for sure. That's just my first impressions. Anyways, I think I'm gonna leave my video there. I don't really have that much to say about it. I mean, not much to say about it. I mean, I don't have much to say about it right now, especially all things considered, that I haven't seen it long term. I can't do any testing like click latency, stuff like that. I don't know the implementation stuff, everything's like that. So yeah, that's my video. If you guys agree, disagree, feel free to leave down in the comments below. I would like to know your opinion about, like, especially the FinalMouse thing, because, you know, FinalMouse is their brand name is really something. They're really known. They're definitely a premium mouse brand, or at least supposedly. So yeah, thoughts, comments, concerns, feel free to leave them down below. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. If you guys want to see a full review, I probably will make a full review on this mouse. Feel free to like and sub. Totally up to whether you do or not, though. If you have any questions at all, feel free to leave down in the comments below. And yeah, maybe my review will be a total just straight up comparison. I don't know, but we will have to see. But yeah, that's going to be the ULX Sakura. So far, for the price, it's underwhelming, but it's still not a bad mouse by any means, by stretch of the imagination. I think I think if this were a $120 mouse, this would be a very compelling option. That's what I'd say. But the fact that it's $179 or $175 right now is a little questionable. But like I said 20 billion times, I don't know about the implementation and all the stuff underneath the mouse in terms of like the tech. So yeah, that's gonna be my video. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.